Good afternoon, fight folks. GT with AB Boxing News here in the house with world-renowned trainer Teofimo Lopez Sr. How's it going?
Oh my God, man, camp is going beautiful. I never seen my son so motivated. We getting ready for this fight with Comey, and I just can't wait, man. December 14th, it's gonna be fireworks, bro.
Now, Teofimo, the moment is here. Teofimo fights for a world title December 14th against Richard Comey. Is this the fight that will put your son as the top dog at 135 division, finally, with Lomachenko?
I mean, we the only ones doing it, fighting, a world champion. I mean, we're fighting a real champion to get our spot, So we're the only ones doing that, from the young guys coming up. I've been saying this for about a year and a half, that we were gonna get and I even said the year 2019 we was gonna get, we was gonna get a world title. I didn't know who it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be with Lomachenko, but that didn't happen. So hopefully, right after we get done with Comey, we'll fight Loma in March or in April of 2020.
Gotcha. Now, Teofimo fights usually in knockout most of the time, or almost all the time. Do you feel like this fight with Comey, he needs to be or has to be more patient and technical rather than seeking the KO against Comey?
I really don't want to give nothing up out there right now. We know exactly what we need to do. Everybody, there's about like maybe 90% of fans out there that are just boxing fans and they don't know the sweet science of boxing, I think my son did a great job with Nakatani. If you notice, he had a couple of headbutts all over his eyes, on top of his eyes. And I told him, I said, listen, man, when the fight finished, I said, I know who you are. I know you. Don't talk nothing bad about yourself. Everything you have in your face, on the top of your forehead, they're all headbutts, man. I seen the fight, and you won every round. I was close, You had one of the judges had it 11-1. And the other two judges had it 10-2. So I wasn't that far off. I didn't think that Nakatani won any round. So, I mean, it's like, the way they put him out there to be like, like he fought a terrible, horrible fight, man. Look at Luke Campbell with Lomachenko. I seen Lomachenko get hurt about 3 times in that fight. We was never hurt with Nakatani. He probably received some, like maybe 3 good punches, but that's about it, And then the rest of the punches, they weren't even, my son is one of these fighters that don't get hit as much as these other fighters get hit. So when he does get hit once or twice in a fight, it seems like a lot, And I don't take nothing away from him with Nakatani. I think Nakatani got us ready for Comey. It was good he went 12 rounds. He showed that he could have went 10 more rounds in that fight, and with a tough Japanese kid, Why? Because nobody knows him. He was 18-0, number 3 in the world. So, I mean, number 3 in the IBF. So, well, we don't take nothing away from Nakatani. He did a great job. He went in there to win. And come December 14th, it's going to be a whole different ball game with the Teofimo Lopez. He was going through some family problems when he went into the Nakatani fight. This fight, he's motivated. Everybody's happy. So we just ready.
Should this fight have been its own card, its own main event? Because it seems like this is the fight that's really creating all the buzz around New York.
It's so funny. And with the thing that's going on right now with the 135-pound division, where they just handed the belt to Devin Haney, the WBC, and they gave Lomachenko the franchise WBC belt or whatever it is, or trophy or whatever it is. It just made us, now people talking more about us, So it just came at the perfect time. Time is so beautiful for us because now more people are aware that my son is fighting. Like you said it, man, ain't nobody talking about that card. The only person they talking about that card is Teofimo Lopez and Comey, because that should have been the main event.
Right.
I don't take nothing away from Crawford. And probably the reason why they're not talking that much about Crawford is the person that he's fighting,
Right. You mentioned the franchise champion belt. What is your take on Lomachenko being WBC franchise champion, and will it now make it harder to make the fight with Teofimo Lopez if Teofimo Lopez ends that fight early against Comey?
Listen, if Lomachenko doesn't take the fight with us after Comey, the whole world's gonna know, that he's a coward. And I know Lomachenko is not a coward, so I expect him to take the fight. He has to take the fight. And if he doesn't take the fight, he's gonna lose a lot of money because my son is the only one that can make him, 10 times the money he makes. And it's gonna be the biggest fight.
Possible pay-per-view.
It is gonna be a pay-per-view fight.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all over the news. So we're ready for Comey. We're getting ready for him, and I don't want to look into Lomachenko right now. We have a tough fighter in front of us, which is Comey, and we're just gonna make it look easy.
Right. Recently, the WBC just moved up Tank Davis, ranked number 1 at 135, mandated for Devin Haney's belt. Is that a fight that you could see possibly Teofimo having sooner, or rather in the future?
Listen, right after the Lomachenko fight, if it does happen, we move into 140. So whoever wants to come and fight us, they got to go to 140. My son has been at this weight for almost 7 years already, and he's got to grow, man. I got to let him grow, and right now we're just pushing it. We're pushing it a lot, especially coming into this Comey fight, and then we got to wait for Lomachenko, probably fight him in March and April. And then we got to move up to 140. By that time, they'll probably have an undisputed champion, which will be Ramirez or Josh Taylor. So see what happens, and take one of those guys. And what, it'll be amazing unifying the 135 and going into fighting just one fight with a full 140 weight division and taking that. And then moving to 147. My son can fight big dudes, man, and it's a lot of people don't understand. My son fights bigger guys than he does smaller guys. He's just a big kid, and I mean, he sparred guys like Ugas, Sean Porter, even Luke Campbell. And we know what we did with Luke Campbell. You understand? And Lomachenko had a bad time when Luke Campbell was older. I mean, we had Luke Campbell was undefeated. We used to spar with him. We helped him with like around 2-3 fights. My son was like 17 years old, so we know what we could do to Lomachenko. Especially, I told my son, when I already was sure about what we could do to Lomachenko, but I told my son, let's see how this guy does with Luke Campbell. And from there, I'm gonna definitely know for 100% sure. And he almost got hurt 3 times in that fight. And nobody said nothing about it, So it is what it is, man. We're just waiting for the right time. The time is to our benefit because we're young. My son is young. He just turned 22 years. He's only 22. He just turned 22. So we got time to our advantage. These guys got to step it up and fight us. We have been taking all the fights. We say no. We never said no to nobody. And I've been saying this for a year and a half when people used to laugh at me. People used to laugh at me. This guy's crazy. This guy's on crack. This guy is this. This guy is that. Look at that. We one fight away,
right.
From fighting Lomachenko, and we one fight away from my son being world champion. I mean, we're gonna fight Comey for the world title with only 14 fights, coming in with the 15th fight. I mean, how many people do that?
Not many.
Yeah, and we did it by fighting. We did it by fighting the best. And come December 14th, the whole world's gonna know why we do it and why we did it so fast. We don't need 25 fights to fight for a world title. We don't need 23 fights. My son can do it right now. And we're gonna shut up a lot of mouths out there that don't like us. And they know who they are. There's a lot of people that hate us, and and what am I supposed to say? That my son is gonna lose? We're in competition.
No, definitely.
And every time I say something, it happens. Doesn't matter what, we're always gonna have the W. Doesn't matter how we do it, we're gonna have the W.
And lastly, Last question. As a father, what have you done to keep Teofimo focused and mentally prepared for this goal of being world champion? Like, as a trainer and father.
Listen, I told him this is his life, okay, for right now. You know, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but as of right now, we want the belts, okay? Right after we take the belts and there's nobody else around, and he could do something else, you know. Boxing is not forever. I told him, we're going to do this with one condition. You don't get hit. Okay? You've seen what's happening to all these fighters. Yeah. You know,
it's the sweet signs. It's hit and not get hit.
Exactly. But I mean, my son doesn't get hit. That's the thing. You understand? So we could have a long career. You know, all these fighters, man, they got to get new trainers. Got to get trainers that show them defense, because they're getting hit every 2 seconds. You know, you hit me, I hit you. You hit me, I hit you. That's not boxing. You know, see, boxing is hit, not get hit. But boxing is not hit and run, hit and run, hit and run. Boxing is, you got to go in there, entertain the crowd, what they want to do. So that's why I showed my son we could do that. We could box aggressively and not get hit. You know. And it's very hard to do that. You know, I've been doing this with him for like 17 years. You know, and you got some crazy people out there saying that he needs a new trainer. Listen, if the boat ain't broken, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? You know, just don't go to another boat. If it ain't sinking, don't go to another boat. You know, and I tell everybody that. And you got people, top people, telling my son that he needs a new trainer. You know, I'm the one that got him where he's at. There ain't no trainer getting nobody world titles with 14 fights.
Interesting.
You know, and a young kid just turned 22. So listen, my son is never gonna leave me. All right, me and my son made a pact, and I know him. I know what he could do. You know, Nakatani fight, it was all a false. It was all a lie. You know, the way they mocked him out there. And they did the best thing they could have done, man, because when they did that to him in the Olympic trials, then they did that to him in the Olympics when he lost the first day. He got robbed big times. He came back stronger, winning straight 14 fights in the pros, impressively. Gotcha. You're going to mock my son? Come December 14, I feel bad, because Comey got to pay for it now.
Gotcha.
Because you're going to show the world you don't play with my son, you know. Once you start mocking my son and talking bad about him, especially people that people respect, you know, that they're in the business and people respect, and then you're going to mock my son, a kid that's just trying to make it, you know, he's going to come in. And the person that's going to pay for it is going to be Comey. I feel bad for Comey, because he's the one that's got to take the heat for what everybody been talking about my son, you know. You know, of false accusations about that fight with Nakatani. I mean, I tell everybody, go back and watch that fight. It is not what people say it was, you know. See, my son never got hit all night with right hands. It's all false accusations, man.
Right.
You know. And I just get so upset, because they don't know how to bring us down, and that they don't understand. That makes us get stronger. You know, keep on talking bad about us. It's just gonna motivate us more. Right. You know.
So most definitely, December 14th, you know, you're out there to conquest and change a lot of those people's minds. You know, that supposedly making a false accusation.
I know my son, and I never seen him like this. I haven't seen him like this in a while. You know.
He looks definitely motivated,
prepared. The last time I seen him like this was a little bit with Eddie Statley, but mostly with Diego Magdaleno in that fight. He went in there because Diego Magdaleno's people or somebody in the camp was talking bad about Honduras, you know, and he didn't like that. Oh, another thing I got to tell everybody from Honduras, man, you're going to have your first world champion ever in history. And they're planning to do something big for him over there in Honduras. So right after the fight, we're planning to fly out there.
Interesting.
And all the people are waiting for him, because he'll be the first world champion that Honduras has ever had in anything. I'm talking about in soccer,
it's huge accomplishment,
whatever it is. You know, they never made it this big. You know, and my son is about to do that. He's about to make history with Honduras. You know, and that's big for us. You know, he represented Honduras in in the Olympics because me and my wife was born in Honduras, in San Pedro Sula, by the way. So saludos a todos los sanpedranos, a toda la gente de Honduras, los quiero mucho. Ya pronto van a tener el primer campeón del mundo.
Okay, you got it. And that's Teofimo Lopez Sr., world-renowned trainer for Teofimo Lopez on the conquest for that IBF belt December 14 at Madison Square Garden. GT Boxing News. Thank you.